Hello, this is MATLAB, and it is the most common extra application that college students in America run. I have 3 kids in college. Well, one's done, one's in her senior year, and the other's a sophomore. And there is such a thing as a huge college racket. The requirements for MATLAB isn't all that rough, and they also come with a Linux version. But in Windows, you only need a couple of gigabytes for disk space and 2 gigabytes of RAM. And if you add some of the additional add-on programs, you might need to add a little bit more RAM. But none of that's going to happen in your freshman or even sophomore year. Your freshman and sophomore years, generally, you just need the word processing, the spreadsheet, the email, and ability to hook into the internet. And some colleges might have you interacting in the classroom, sharing a common presentation board by logging into a class network. But even that, I think that doesn't happen very often. In my experiences, they've handed out clickers and other things to log attendance. And finally, you end up taking some tests on your computer. When that becomes a huge problem, according to my son, who's a sophomore, in that the Surface Pro 4 is very common, being one of their approved, quote-unquote, hardware choices. And if you happen to turn your Surface 4 on right before the test and it goes into an update cycle, you're really kind of screwed. So anyhow, this is the most common additional program. All 3 of my kids had to use it. And it does come in a Linux version. And the Linux version, you're going to be pretty much required to run some derivative of Ubuntu or OpenSUSE. And Debian will not be supported in future release. So they're really, focusing straight towards Ubuntu in the future. You get Red Hat, Fedora. So you can see that the requirements for the systems isn't that overwhelming. Now, to go back to my kids' experience, my oldest boy, he went to college. We had to buy him a computer on day 1. Everybody in the freshman class got the exact same computer, and it was supported over his 4 years by the school. No choice. Condition of attendance. And everybody ran Windows. You could, of course, run Linux in a side environment, but you're required to run Windows. And it worked out well for him. And it was kind of a special school, so you either adopted their program or you didn't go. And he was a computer science major. Now my daughter, she's the senior now, she's a biomedical engineer, and they have a less strict requirement. Everybody bought their own computers, able to use MATLAB, and I think about 10% of her class in her major use Linux day in, day out. The rest, it's split pretty evenly between Windows and Mac. My youngest son, he goes to Virginia Tech. And let's take a look at what they require. And he's in the School of Engineering. And they require Windows 10 64-bit version this year. Last year, they still took Windows 7 or 10. But they've upped the RAM requirements to 16 gigs. Now what they're doing is they're looking through your entire 4 or 5 year voyage with the school and saying, hey, what are we likely going to demand our seniors have? By the time the freshman becomes a senior, what are they going to have? And then they build in an additional cushion. Well, if you get this kind of computer, it's very expensive. And you're buying computing speed and hard drive space and processors that you're not going to use until you're a junior or a senior at the earliest, and maybe never use. You can see they recommend a Fujitsu or a Microsoft Surface Book Pro 4. But you go back, a Pro 4 with 16 gigs of RAM, that's damn expensive. And we're too cheap to do something like that. Maybe frugal would be the better word. So I searched the internet before he went as a freshman, and we didn't know anybody that was going to that school. So we had nobody to contact really to say, hey, what are the requirements? And when we did there's a few groups in the area, and we did apply and touched base with them. They were all pretty much ignorant lemmings. They were just going to follow whatever the college told them to do. And when we went for an orientation, we met, they had the bookstore there, they had the manufacturer's rep there. Well, I used to be in computer sales, and this is just a scam of the largest degree. So I kept pressing, what's the minimum requirements we need for the first 2 years of college? And you could never find an answer. And in trolling the internet, searching for any kind of first-hand experience in the College of Engineering, I didn't get any. I finally found one person said you could get by on a $200 or $300 Samsung tablet, most likely, and as your computer you take to class, because all they're really doing is taking your attendance with it. And so what we ended up doing was we bought a Surface Pro 2. And it was a used Surface Pro 2. And here's eBay. And you can see a used Surface Pro 2 is $200. Now you want to add and make sure you have a keyboard cover for it, and you want to have a stylus. So the stylus was like $50, and the keyboard cover might be an additional $30. Now the one mistake we did, and I urge you, if you go this route, don't make our mistake, is we decided not to insure it with any kind of additional warranty, which is easily purchasable for about an additional $40 to $50. And our thinking was, boy, it comes with a solid-state drive. The solid-state drives are fairly bulletproof. The battery in it should last, 4 years. So, odds are, other than us dropping this stupid thing, we would be able to get through college with it. Well, we didn't realize that the Surface Pro 2 had bought a bunch of flawed solid-state drives and had a pretty high failure rate. We only found that out afterwards. And sure enough, it got us through the entire freshman year, and then over the summer, the solid-state drive on it did take a dive, and now I run Chaos on it through a USB, and it's a wonderful tablet. I'll call it a tablet plus. But it's not applicable to be able to take in the class every day in and day out. So he ended up getting a Surface Pro 3 reconditioned with the warranty for his sophomore year. And he's going through there. And you can see this is Newegg. So the Surface Pro 3 is $400 roughly. And it's a lot less expensive than what they recommend. My son's in the school. He can see what he needs by going to classes. He can talk with the upperclassmen and see what their computer needs are. He can talk with the professors and find out what's coming down the road. And he's a lot happier, and we saved a lot of money, even though we had the one computer die on us. And then what he did, in addition to having the Surface Pro, just having a Surface Pro as your normal day in, day out computer, especially back in your dorm room working, is just a pain. So he went and we got a Cooler Master box. We actually got this, I think, for around $31 all told from Micro Center. And we bundled it. We bought a motherboard for it and and a CPU all in one package, and stuck in 8 gigs of RAM. And we managed to build a really nice, and all the other parts we salvaged from at home. And all the other parts, I think the total came to less than $400. And so he's got a Surface Pro 3 reconditioned and this, and that's what he's going through college with. And in addition to it, he didn't have to buy Windows, because Windows came bundled with a software package when you buy MATLAB at Virginia Tech. So, we're going through college with about $1,000 in our computer system, rather than buying the tablets that they want us to buy and blowing $2,000 close to $3,000 all told when you add in the warranties. And I think you really need, when your kids are going to college or you're going to college, you really need to look and understand what the requirements are past what the stupid bookstore and the manufacturer's reps tell you that's what you need. And so I hope this video will at least warn you and perhaps save you some serious money as your kids go off to school. And remember, the other thing too is you go back and look at the requirements. They're the requirements for their final year, not for their first year. So there's nothing wrong with going in with a $300 computer or laptop your first year and getting an idea of what exactly you'll need, and then your son or daughter will be that much more educated and used to using computers in a classroom environment at a college level, and will be able to pick a much better fitting computer for them their sophomore year, or even if you can put it off till their junior year, and you get a much better computer the longer you wait. So that's my rant on college requirements. I hope you enjoyed it. If your experiences is different than mine, please feel free to comment. Thanks for watching.